Hello, welcome to my talk, Snakes, Friend or Foe. Now, you may think that this is an easy question to answer. Perhaps you agree with Mr. Samuel L. Jackson and feel all snakes are foes. Or perhaps you align with the gentleman in the upper right-hand corner and feel like all snakes are friends. Regardless, each example on this particular slide is quite easy to determine which snake is a friend and which one is indeed a foe. Ouch. But you may be posed with a snake such as the one featured here, where you may have no clue as to whether you should walk or run away. For the purposes of this talk, we are defining friend as non-venomous and foe as venomous. Note that I say venomous and not poisonous. Now, I apologize for any snake lovers out there who may disagree with my terminology in this talk. But we will not be discussing whether if you eat a venomous snake, is it in fact poisonous? That's probably fruit for another talk. Personally, I recommend against ingesting snakes in general, but that's just my opinion. This talk will cover 3 main objectives. The first objective being that afterwards you, yes you, will be able to list the 2 families of venomous snakes in the United States. Secondly, you will be able to list at least 3 discernible features of a venomous pit viper snake versus that of a non-venomous snake. Last but not least, you will be able to distinguish the venomous coral snake's colorful bands from that of the non-venomous king snake. And those are your objectives for this talk. Are you ready to begin? I know I am. In the United States, there are 2 distinct families of venomous snakes. The Crotalidae, or as they are more commonly called, pit vipers, and the Lapidae. The specific types of snakes in the Crotalidae family, or the pit viper family, are rattlesnakes, water moccasins, aka cottonmouths, and copperheads. Rattlesnakes, cottonmouths, and copperheads. Oh my! Now, when you look at the water moccasin, you notice that the mouth is so white, hence the term cottonmouth. The second family in the United States, the Lapidae, consists of the coral snake. So pretty, yet so dangerous. I mean, about as pretty as a snake can be, I guess. Now that we know both families of venomous snakes in the U.S., you may be asking, where exactly are they located now? Pit vipers are found throughout the United States, with the exception of Maine, Alaska, and Hawaii. Their distribution starts in southern Canada, goes down through the United States, through Central America, going down as far south as Argentina. Coral snakes are not found as extensively in the United States. They are only found in the areas highlighted in red in the map above. Now that you have been briefed on the 2 families of venomous snakes in the U.S., as well as their geographic distribution, let's turn our attention to how we can differentiate a venomous snake from a non-venomous based off of their physical characteristics. Or rather, how can we differentiate our friends from our foes? Note, all the pictures listed above are the same type of snake. After the next few slides, you will be able to determine whether this snake is a friend or foe. The column on the left shows venomous snakes, this example being a rattlesnake, while the column on the right shows characteristics of a non-venomous snake. This example is a corn snake. Note from looking at the first feature. Look at the shape of the head on both sides. The venomous snake has a triangular shaped head, while the non-venomous snake tends to have rounded heads. Now, you're probably never going to get this close to a snake to where you're actually going to be able to see the shape of the pupil. But when you're looking at pictures, you can clearly note that the venomous snakes tend to have an elliptical pupil, while the non-venomous snakes have a circular pupil. Additionally, I've obscured it in the previous picture, but The venomous snakes also have a heat-sensing pit. Additionally, venomous snakes will have fangs, whereas our non-venomous snakes do not have fangs. I'm sure you guys are thinking that's a pretty easy one. And lastly, I'm pretty sure no one's going to get this close to a snake, but venomous snakes have a single row of anal plates, whereas the non-venomous snakes will have double rows. That may seem like a lot of details to remember, but more simply, at least you can remember at least these three following key features. The first being the shape of the head. That venomous snakes have a triangular head, whereas non-venomous snakes have a rounded head. Secondly, we can look at our pupils, and that the fact the venomous snakes have an elliptical pupil, whereas the non-venomous snakes have a round pupil. And lastly, third, the presence of fangs indicating a venomous snake, or in this case in our talk, a foe, versus the absence of fangs indicating a non-venomous snake or a friend. Do you all remember this guy? I told you guys that you'd be able to tell whether he was a friend or foe. So let's review the three key features that we just discussed and apply it to this snake. So first, let's look at the head. When I'm looking at the head from at least the top two pictures, they appear to be a triangular head. And then, secondly, let's look at the pupil. And from looking at this picture down here, to me it looks like it's an elliptical or almost like a straight up and down pupil. And I'm sure if this snake's mouth was more open, we'd probably see some fangs. So yes, you guessed it, this is indeed a venomous pit viper snake, aka the copperhead. Now, thinking outside the pit viper family, let's turn our attention to the coral snakes. While the coral snake is distinctive from the pit vipers due to the bright yellow and red colors along with black markings, there are other snakes that have similar coloring that are indeed not venomous. There's a little rhyme that perhaps campers and avid wilderness lovers or even snake lovers may be aware of. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yes, as you see above, it goes red on yellow, kill a fellow, and red on black, venom lack. Or perhaps you've heard red on black, friend of Jack. Regardless of the iteration, when you look at the above picture on the left, pay particular attention to the red bands. The red bands on the left are surrounded by these little yellow bands, indicating that this is indeed a coral snake or a foe. Whereas on the right, you notice that the red bands are surrounded by black stripes, indicating that this snake is a friend. So, from our original picture, let's use our rhyme. Red on yellow, kill a fellow. So we can be sure that this snake is not a friend, but rather a foe. I hope you enjoyed this little talk and that you walk away knowing our three objectives. The first, that the Crotalidae and Elapidae are the two venomous families of snakes located in the United States. Secondly, that you can list fangs, elliptical pupils, and triangular heads as distinctive features of the venomous pit vipers. And lastly, that you know that red on yellow, kill a fellow identifies the venomous coral snake. Thank you for listening to my talk, and just want to let everyone know, no snakes were harmed in the production of this lecture.